Hello, I'm Clarissa Medina from dreambookproject.com. I'm the official podcast host for Freedom Summit Global. We are getting to know the international and local speakers for Freedom Summit Global. These speakers are gathering to show us how to live a life of total freedom where we are not shackled by time, money, or location. Right now, we are joined by a very special guest. He is an adventure blogger, photographing the world, eating good food, and helping travelers everywhere. On the road for over 4 years, he has been to 48 countries. And to help fellow travelers follow their dreams, he started skytravels.com, which now has over 130,000 visitors. He's always looking for the next great adventure. We are featuring Skye Class.
Hello.
Hey. Skye, before we dive into the questions that I sent you earlier, I hope you don't mind that I throw in a few other questions.
Not at all.
Because I read about I visited skytravels.com and some stuff got me curious.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, you mentioned there that you were dreaming of travel for a long time, but
Yeah,
then you only started in 2014. Is that right?
that's correct.
So what happened in 2014? What was the turning point all about?
It's actually funny you asked that. It's a story that I've never completely told,
Uh-huh.
but kind of the highlights are I was working in a business in Hollywood for actually quite a few years.
Uh-huh.
And it was something I really enjoyed. I had a very strong purpose of, helping people and things like that.
Hmm.
But it just got to the point where the barriers that I was running into were starting to outweigh the freedoms of what I was able to do in the business. I've been a teacher and counselor and various different things, but I was starting to struggle with different regulations and things that just made it difficult for me to, help people and make a difference, essentially.
Ah,
And at one point, I had actually been offered the opportunity to become the CEO of the business at the London branch, which was kind of a dream come true to me. And then that fell through. And I actually went into all the different training that I needed to become the CEO. And when that fell through, it was like, well, what other option did I have? And it wasn't even falling through for something on my end. Some other people within my area of the business had essentially messed up, and I had to cover their positions while they went through correction.
mhm.
I then found out that the opportunity to be the CEO was no longer available, but to be the CFO, the finance officer, was a possibility.
Yeah.
So I then went into extensive financial training
Mhm.
on all the things I would need to do to be the CFO,
Mhm.
only to have that fall through where I was needed for something else. And I went, you know what? I'm tired of living my life on someone else's terms, to kind of be at the beck and call of another group where it's very nice to have a group at your back to help you with various things. So you're not trying to be a one-man band, but at the same time, there were too many restrictions.
Yeah.
So finally, one day I sat down and I went, okay, what do I want to do? Where are my strengths? Where are my skills? What have I been successful at in the past? And also, what do I want to do with my life? What are my goals? And also, what are my purposes as different than my goal?
Yeah.
A goal of mine was to travel the world, but my purpose was really just to help as many people as I could through different things that I had studied and become successful at. So I finally put them all together. What were my skills? I was good at writing. I was good at computers. My dream was to travel the world, and my purpose was to help others. And I just kind of put everything together and went, okay, travel blogger.
Ah, so that's how it was born.
Exactly.
Yeah. I see that um, you seem to be what I call a jack of all trades. Because yeah, I was reading your site, and you seem to have dabbled in a lot of things. And you also
Yeah.
mentioned it right just now that you're using it to help a lot of people. Can you share more about that?
I did. I actually left school when I was 14, basically to kind of study on my own on different subjects rather than sit in a classroom setting and just get information in order to pass a test or try to memorize. I wanted to study in a way that I would actually use the information. So I started working. In fact, my first jobs was when I was 13 years old. I was doing data programming and landscaping, construction work. And then by the time I was 15, I was working in events in Hollywood, working with a publication house, all kinds of different things. Um, and because I didn't really stick to the same job year after year, I can't really say I became great at any one thing, but I did learn quite a few different subjects and skills and got good at them. I would say the one I worked in the longest was teaching. I've been a teacher since the year 2000, so almost 20 years now. And I've kind of honed my skills as a teacher to a very high level, which I enjoy. You know, I love teaching English or any subject for that matter. But it definitely was a very interesting life of different subjects and skills.
Yeah. I see. Um, uh, Another question I have is on travel blogging.
Hmm.
You do adventure blogging, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, um, how would you advise other people who want to get into the blogging business? I asked this of Ricky Shetty before, but I bet you have a different answer. So my question is, it seems like a chicken and egg thing. Like, um, you need to have a lot of followers in order to get partners on board. But um, but yeah, so like parang how do you even start growing the number of followers when you're starting from scratch?
Hmm. That's an excellent question. There's a few different parts to that answer. First of all, I want to actually get rid of the idea that you have to have a huge number of followers in order to get partnerships and brand deals and stuff like that. Um, there are two sides of a social, an opinion leader, someone who's, you have this word bouncing around, an influencer, someone who influences the ideas of another. Another way to that would just be an opinion leader, someone who other people respect and follow. And there's two different types of opinion leaders. One would be the opinion leader that 10,000, 100,000, a million, 10 million people listen to, and
Yeah,
it's a matter of quantity, how many.
yeah.
There's another opinion leader it's more about quality. It's, if you, I don't know, you like to exercise,
Yeah.
and there's one person on YouTube that you're always listening to, like that is your person. And if they say do your exercises this way, you're going to follow them. It's that. And if they say buy this book, you're going to buy that book.
Mhm.
So then it comes down to, you could have, a million followers who kind of listen to you and enjoy your videos, and maybe a small portion of them will buy your book when you say buy my book. Or you might have 100 followers and you say buy my book, and 100 followers buy your book. So it's really balancing out the quantity and the quality.
I see.
Um, when you're dealing with brands, some brands look at the quantity and some brands look at the quality. Some brands look at both. But there is no one, there's no number involved. It's
Mm.
Casey Neistat actually did a great video on this, the famous YouTuber, and he was talking about, he's got, I think, 10 million followers as compared to PewDiePie, who's got 81 million followers or subscribers.
Mhm.
And yeah, they're numbers, but it's also, what he terms, and there actually used to be a website called this, and it's clout. It's how many people actually listen to you.
Yeah.
And I've actually helped coach bloggers who had, only 1 or 2 thousand followers, but they actually had very good clout, and I was able to help them get connected with different brands, tourism boards, etc., to have very successful partnerships.
Yeah.
And it's what it comes down to is what you can provide. It's the level of exchange, something
Mhm.
for something.
Yeah.
There's some brands who want to offer, offer you a 20% discount with what you would usually charge 500, 1,000, $2,000 for, and you go, well, I'm sorry, but a $15 discount is not worth, $5,000 worth of my time and skills.
Mhm.
At the same time, some bloggers want a $4,000 hotel stay for, photographs that will go out to potentially 10,000 people. Maybe they have a following of 1 million people, but they're only getting 10,000 impressions. There's so many different sides, and there isn't really any right or wrong or black and white. It's a lot of different factors.
Yeah.
And then
But
the other side, yes, sorry.
but essentially it's so even if they cannot offer the quantity yet, they might be able to offer the quality. Is that right?
Absolutely. So
Mhm.
you might have, and a lot of people put an arbitrary figure, a figure kind of just based on a whim at 1,000. If you've got 1,000 quality followers
Mhm.
that you are actually changing their ideas, or they're listening to what you say, or
Yeah.
they're buying your book, that is, you've made it. And then the other side of your question was, how do you get into that? How do you get started?
Yes.
And I tell people there's two sides of it. You can either kind of work part-time or even full-time at another job while you make money and work part-time at blogging. You look at people like Jody Edingberg of Legal Nomads, or many different bloggers, even Rick Shetty of the popular travel books.
Yeah.
Sorry, not Rick Shetty.
I know it's tricky too.
I'm confused. Um,
And I nodded.
Now I can't think of the guy's name, but it's the guy who writes these major travel books.
Oh,
Um,
is it Jay Shetty?
no, I think his first name is Rick. Oh my gosh.
Ah, okay, because
Um,
there's another.
I'm just Rick Steves. There we go. Rick Steves
Ah,
travel books. And I believe he's actually a professor in New York for 3 or 6 or 9 months out of the year. And then he goes and travels and writes some of the most well-known travel books in the world. But he's also got this full-time job. So there's two sides. You can either work partly or full-time at a job, make the money, and then invest that into building up your travel blog through, promotion, Facebook ads, all the different kinds of things that you'd actually need to pay for, paying for branding and a logo and all that kind of stuff. Or you can save up a huge portion of money and then just go out full time and just kind of put all that effort in full time into building up, writing an article every other day or every day as some do, or the daily vlogging, just when you do that daily vlogging or daily posting on whatever medium you're doing, whatever, whether it's Facebook or YouTube, they do favor you and they will actually help to promote you even more. Then there's the third way, which is the way I did it, which was to start with no money, to go out and full-time just try to make it happen.
Yeah.
And it does work to a degree, and you just start with friends and family. I printed out business cards, and which was a little odd, but I was just giving business cards to everyone I met in my travels and encouraging them to come to my website, and slowly building up my followers and learning more things and learning how to promote and use tribes on Pinterest and different things. And it does slowly snowball, maybe not as fast as the people who are investing a lot of money, but it is doable. So there's a few
And
different
now
ways
you
to do
have around over 90,000. Is that still updated? 90,000 social media followers.
that. About 50,000 social media followers.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, oh yeah, 50,000. Sorry, I got the number wrong.
Yeah,
Oh, I was referring to the previous number on the visitors. That's where I got the
yeah.
number from. All right, so let's dive into the questions I sent you.
Okay.
Um, Freedom Summit. What does freedom mean to you personally?
That's a great question, and it's I actually mentioned earlier, in my job, I had the um, kind of the imbalance of freedoms and barriers,
Mhm.
and essentially, a freedom is a lack of barriers. It's the ability to, whether you have the freedom, you look at the Universal Declaration of Human Rights written by Eleanor Roosevelt in the I think late 1940s or early 1950s,
Mhm.
which is kind of the basic premise of the UN, the United Nations. And
Mhm.
it's the 30 human rights, the freedom of movement, the freedom of speech. And it's literally just the ability to speak, the ability to move around the world, freedom of religion, freedom of, all these different things. And so freedom is just the ability to, as contrasted with a barrier, a restriction, or a lack of ability to. And there can be many different freedoms. There could also be, you look at a freedom of, you know, you could have a negative freedom, the freedom to kill. That's not necessarily a good freedom, but it's still by definition a freedom. So sometimes you have to balance out freedoms and barriers. Absolute freedom, the freedom to do anything, is not a good thing.
Mm. Yeah.
But sometimes you need to, there's always the concept of ethics, the ability to choose between right and wrong. The freedom to kill a man is not a good freedom, but the freedom to kill a man who's about to himself kill 10,000 people is a good freedom. And if you're restricted to stop someone from killing 10,000 people, you see, now you're getting into,
Yeah.
now we're almost getting into philosophy and ethics
Yes.
and other subjects.
Yes. um, so it's an ability to, as opposed to a barrier to.
Exactly. An inability to,
An
an
inability.
inability to anything, to do anything.
All right. Um, the second question I have for you, it seems jumpy because it's it sounds like a totally different topic. But going back to what we were talking about earlier, travel blogging and being a success at adventure blogging, what strategies did you create to become successful?
Wow, that's a very large question. Um, but even to tie it into, freedoms and barriers, I kind of looked at what I was capable of doing at the beginning. My first year, I had very little money, but I discovered workaway and house sitting and volunteering. So I traveled the world and, lived in hostels, and where I would work for a couple hours a day for a bed to sleep in, found cheap meals and worked with companies that were more amenable to kind of entry level bloggers and kind of simple tours, or I did free walking tours and wrote about those, and built up, kind of built up the number of articles I had on my website, but I also really developed my own style, both my writing style, my design of my articles, how I did my SEO, really just learning how to put that blog together, which was great. It was a year of learning while I went through 35 different countries. Now I'm kind of, very consistent on how I write my articles. I put a lot more effort into them. I probably would hammer out an article in 1 or 2 hours back then. And now I look at them and I'm like, oh boy, okay, so let me go back and redo this article with some better photos and better grammar and, better SEO, a Pinterest image. A lot more effort goes into each one of my articles.
I see. So you were creative, especially at the start, with how you were gonna make it work.
Yeah, it was really, it was a year of my learning curve.
Yeah, and you built skills along the way, uh, developing your style, your writing style.
Yeah, and one other thing that really helped a lot was going to conferences all around the world.
Mm.
Um, Three main conferences I attend are TBEX, the Travel Blogger Exchange, Travelin, which is a newer conference which stands for Travel Bloggers and Influencers, and the Traverse Conference, the conference for also for influencers and travel bloggers.
And now you're speaking at one.
Yes, I actually did speak at a Travelin conference last year, and now we have the Freedom Summit, which also focuses more on not just influencers and travel bloggers, but anyone who wants to work remotely and
Yes.
independently.
Yes.
So it's a more of a broad range of people. Anyone, there's so many businesses who are just wasting money paying for office space when their employees could easily work anywhere in the world while still providing the exact same services.
Yeah, it's a traditional way of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
Freedom Summit is actually like a digital nomad summit, right? So, what tips do you have for someone who wants to live this digital nomad lifestyle?
Um, a lot of tips. It really comes down to, for me, the same thing that I did at the beginning. Look at what you want to do. Look at what's best for you. Take into account, it's not just you, it's also your business. But look at, maybe you can actually save your business money by working remotely and not making your business pay, crazy sums of money just for you to be able to, get to work in the morning. Like I know one person who works for a major company in London, lives only 45 minutes outside of London, but it costs the company pays for their transportation, and it's £4,000, about $5,500 a year, just for the person to take the train into work every morning.
Yeah, so much time and money lost.
Exactly. So, maybe an employee can go, hey, look, I can save you $5,500 a year. Just let me work at home. you know I'll be on call. It's the exact same functions. They are the accountants, so all their work is on the computer anyway. There's no reason why they can't work in location independent.
I think the world is slowly getting there, or not
Mhm.
slowly, but yeah, getting there.
Yeah. And there's always going to be positions, the storefront clerk, the receptionist, the doctors and lawyers. They can't necessarily work independently, but there are plenty of positions, and especially in the digital age, all the things that can be done from a computer can be done remotely. Most of the things.
Hey, the Freedom Summit is being planned. I mean, so many work is being done remotely for this one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Digital nomads travel a lot. So, and you've been to 48 countries.
Yeah.
So, what's your favorite travel story?
um,
Any
I
one
honestly
fun?
can't think of like one that tops the rest.
Yeah.
Um, because I'm always getting new stories. I love the feeling of going into a new culture and seeing something that I didn't expect. One of my favorite things is really the essentially seeing the best values in humanity. I mean, I say that Scotland is my favorite country in the world, excuse me. But at the same time, the one thing I don't like about Scotland is how everyone loves to drink and is always getting drunk. They say there are no hangovers in Scotland because they're still drunk and they just start drinking first thing in the morning. They're always drinking.
Okay.
But or you go to a country like Albania, and many people think of Albania like the movie Taken with Liam Neeson. Oh, it's so dangerous and whatever. Yet Albania had some of the most friendly people I've met in all my travels.
Mm,
Or you think of, the Middle East, or very close to the Middle East, Abu Dhabi and Dubai. And
mm,
many people go, oh, it's the Muslims,
yeah.
whatever that, is supposed to, give a connotation. You can go into Abu Dhabi, put your passport, wallet, and phone down on a park bench, and come by 2 hours later and pick it up.
Wow.
And
Even
people would not think
if
about
it's
that, but
not
that
an old
is,
phone.
yeah, it's a very, very safe and secure country. Yes, there is some crime there. There is no country in the world that doesn't have crime, but
Mhm.
crime is not related to a country. Crime is related to this being human,
Mm.
and it does not restricted to countries, religions, cultures, or anything else. Crime is just um, an incorrect feature in the mind and can be fixed, or not necessarily fixed, but rehabilitated in any human just to correct their sense of right and wrong, ethics.
Mm. Yeah.
But it's not fixed by not traveling to a certain country or avoiding a certain religion.
On the contrary, um, I remember what I remember the story that Ricky mentioned, that traveling allowed him to see so much beauty in the world.
Hmm.
On the contrary, traveling could actually help in an indirect way solve these problems because it creates connections between people, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
You get to understand other cultures besides the one that you're used to.
Yeah. One of my favorite things actually is to take, fellow Americans all around the world, or people from England, or any country, and show them the difference of other countries. I
Mm,
remember a couple of years ago, I was taking my brother around Thailand,
mm,
and was constantly noticing things in Thailand where America could improve.
mm,
And he's going, wow, that's, you think of America being the greatest country. It's not at all. And you look at things in Thailand that are better than America.
we could all learn from each other.
Exactly.
Um, the next question for you is very dear to me because
Hmm.
I'm in the business of helping people achieve their dreams in my way, in my own way. um, what should someone do to make his or her dreams come true?
Um, do you have a few hours?
Just summarize.
Which, I mean, I used to teach business and, how to be successful, and there's so many sides of it. One great little thing that you can do is if you find that you're having trouble making things happen, making things go right,
Yeah.
there's a great little thing that you can do. It only takes a few minutes, but you make a list of all the places in your life that you are successful. You know, you're good at cooking, you're good at getting up when you want to in the morning and getting your yoga in. You know, you basically make a list of all the places that you're actually able to make your own decisions essentially, and not you're not struggling. And then you make a list of all the places that you are struggling, all the things that oh, I can never parallel park, and I can never I can't talk to my mom. It always is frustrating when I try to talk to my mom, and I can't figure out Facebook, all the different things. And then you take that list and you look at all the things that you can do with each of those individual points to move them from being unsuccessful over to being successful. And you just break it down and you look at each little aspect of that. And maybe there's something like, oh, there's nothing I can do to that I can be successful at that point. Fine, move on to the next point. And then as you become more successful, then you're able to look at the other things that you weren't able to fix, and then you can look at those from a more successful attitude. Another thing, which is what I did when I left my job 4 years ago, was looking at several different aspects. Look at purposes, and many people get purposes and goals and plans confused. What do you want? What's your purpose? Oh, I want to make a lot of money. Well, that's a great plan, or that's a great goal. Why? What's your purpose? Why do you want to do that? And how are you going to do it to achieve that? What's your plan? What are you good at? How can you achieve that? What are your statistics, and what have you been able to achieve in the past? What products can you create that lead to that goal? Are you a writer? Can you make an ebook? Are you as an independent traveler, are you a tattoo artist? I know someone who travels the world posting up a sign every night at the different hostels that she stays at, saying that I have an hour tonight to deliver a tattoo. My fee is $100. You give me the picture, I'll give you the tattoo. And she travels the world making $100 every night or every other night making tattoos.
Wow. That's a pretty interesting
It
story.
is. It's a great job, or a hairdresser, or, a chef, the guy who works at different, restaurants or whatever. Look at your skills and then put it all together. Maybe your skill is busking, making money on the side of the road, but your goal is to make a ton of money. Okay, you're going to have to start to rethink that, because maybe you can make a ton of money busking, but you're going to have to do it a different way. Work with companies that want to promote you and, put you in the center of the square in Trafalgar Square. And, but doing that in Edinburgh, you actually have to have a permit to busk, to make money on the side of the road. All the different aspects, you actually have to start thinking and putting them together, and then you can be successful at it.
Ah. Did you do that? I think you were telling the story earlier on. I think you also did that.
Mm-hmm. That's what I
How
did
you
for my
started.
own life purpose.
Yeah. The next question sounds like a big one. What is your
Mm-hmm.
vision for the future?
I was actually mentioning this to you earlier, but I really want to start my own YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel, but right now it's mostly just to host the videos that I need for various things that I'm talking about on my blog. But I actually want to make it as an actual channel talking about various subjects, and not just one subject, but different kind of channels within my whole YouTube website, essentially. And also a podcast talking about different things, because I have studied a lot of things in my life, and I want to kind of impart all of that information to other people. Whether it's how to travel easier, or how to be more successful in any job, or how not to be scared or upset when you travel, how to be more confident and sure of yourself, how to do public speaking, how to, which all are kind of interconnected.
Yeah.
And also featuring, different acts of kindness and really, times that I've really restored my faith in humanity, seen people, you know, old ladies that are walking foreigners across the street in Thailand, or the guy in Albania who closed down his store to give another traveler a lift across town so that they could find their hostel. You know, that would almost never happen in America. Where she walked into a store, said, "Where is this hostel?" And he said, "Wait 1 second," and then closed his store, and she was able to trust him enough to get in his car and drive across town to the hostel.
Wow, so helpful.
Exactly. So there's a lot of different things like that. And I want to help to essentially impart the information that I've studied to help others with their lives.
All right. Where can people find you online, Skye?
I was lucky to find a name for my blog that also had the same name across all my social media.
Yes.
So my website is Skye Travels. My name is Skye, spelled Skye, like the Isle of Skye in Scotland. So it's Skye Travels, SkyeTravels with an S at the end, .com, and then that's also the same for my Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, WeChat, WhatsApp, Skype. All of my different social media platforms all have the name Skye Travels.
Okay. Why don't you invite them to Freedom Summit Global?
Absolutely. So we have the Freedom Summit coming up, I believe at the end of March and in April. It's in 5 different cities, and I am helping to put on the one in Chiang Mai, Thailand. We chose Chiang Mai because for years, Chiang Mai has been one of the digital nomad capitals of the world. And there's still quite a few living here and coming in all the time who want to kind of start as a digital nomad. And this will be the summit to give them the information of how to live independently, with any location, and kind of have that freedom of movement, freedom of speech, or whatever freedom online to kind of follow your dreams.
Thank you. Thank you. Great conversation. We also invite people to like Freedom Summit Global and Freedom Summit Asia on Facebook.
Yes, we have the Facebook groups and the events all posted. We have the website, which gives all the information. You can buy your tickets already, and I definitely want to see everyone there.
Yay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.